Towards the end of September 2022, I asked my mentor, Orlando Salinas, a question that changed my life. Apparently, someone had plans for me and I didn't know it. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, my name is Frank Salazar. How do you become a leader without having a title? That's the question I asked Orlando. And he said, become a public speaker. And he told me about Toastmasters. Now, Orlando hadn't thought about Toastmasters in years until I asked him that question that night. That's why he said someone had a plan for me. I just didn't know it. Not only did he tell me about Toastmasters, he looked up where there was a nearest Toastmaster meeting in my location. And he also said, "Hey, Frank, I'll pay for your first 6 months." I couldn't say no. I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. I walked into my first Toastmasters meeting. That's where I met Luisa Montalvo, Phyllis Allen, and various other Toastmasters groups, Toastmasters members of Hub City Toastmasters. And I thought, yeah, I can do this for 6 months. After the 6 months, I'm gone. I'm out of there. I'll just fulfill my duty and be on my way. Or so I thought. What did I get myself into? After paying my dues, Phyllis Allen asked me, "Frank, would you like to be the VP of Public Relations?" Already I had a title and I didn't have to do much. Apparently, all I had to do was talk about Toastmasters. And then she said, "Oh, by the way, you're already on the agenda. I already added you." So that was easy. I got a leadership title right out of the gate. But when you give me something like that, I don't take it for granted. I looked in what a VP of Public Relations does, and I took it seriously. And one of the things I started doing as a favor for Phyllis Allen is I started doing the agenda because she was having trouble with the agenda because she was having computer problems. So I took on that responsibility. And that's what I did in the club. I helped out. I did what I could. I would go in early. I would set up. That was my next role is Sergeant of Arms. And I asked Phyllis, "Well, what does a Sergeant of Arms do?" "What you've already been doing, Frank. Coming in early and setting up." Like, "Oh, okay, that's easy." 8 months passed by, and I was given the opportunity to be the club president for Hub City. Now, that is different than public relations or sergeant of arms. I have experience doing that because it's just stuff I like to do. I like to serve. Being a club president, that was extra duties, and that's when I started to uh, feel the heat just a little bit more. And I would ask myself, why me? What can I bring to this club? So I started visiting other clubs and I started going to other clubs, giving speeches in different clubs, learning what I could. I would ask Luisa questions, I would ask Phyllis questions. How can I improve this club? One of the duties that I didn't know that I had until it started coming up, we had contest seasons, and Luisa wanted to compete. And I also wanted to compete. And I didn't know that it's the club president who has to turn in the paperwork. So 30 minutes before the deadline, I'm at home typing up the paperwork and getting it on time because I forgot, oh, there actually is a deadline and I need to get that done. If I hadn't done that, we wouldn't have our world champion of public speaking, Luisa Montalvo. And that's something that we both laugh at, that and we realize, yeah, that's something that we have to do because apparently other people did it for us. So that was one thing. I was like, okay, I think I got the hang of being club president. I would like to continue to stay club president. Then I was told, no, you can only do it for 2 terms. Again, I think someone had a plan for me because the division director, Paul Zurich, asked me, Frank, would you like to be the area director? Well, what's that? What does an area director do? And he says, you've already been doing it. They visit clubs and they write reports. Like, okay, I think that's something that I can do. In fact, I had just delivered a speech about visiting clubs and giving my thoughts about them. And to be honest, I like to judge people sometimes, so that was fun. But I would also think, what can I do? Am I doing enough? Uh, because all these jobs, all these roles, all these titles, uh, if you let it get to you, they can become thankless jobs because you're not going to be thanked for doing something that you're supposed to be doing. If it's your job to make the agendas, you make the agendas. If it's your job to make sure things are running right, that's what you do. No one is seeing the behind the scenes where I'm up writing speeches, mailing out agendas, and just looking for information for members who ask me questions. We have 2 members in our clubs. Phyllis Allen. Do you think people thanked her when she was busy chartering clubs, when she was going to meetings and finding out how am I going to make a club in McAllen, Texas, Far, Texas? No, no one thanked her for that. She did it because she loved doing it and she wanted to share Toastmasters. Now she has a club in her name, Allen McAllen. They meet Monday at 12 o'clock every week. Luisa Montalvo. Do you think people thanked her for writing speeches and going to meetings? Do you think they thanked her when she was getting into accidents and having adventures that would become the basis of her speeches? It wasn't until she became the club, excuse me, not the club, when she became the world champion of the world for public speaking, that's when people started paying attention. That's when people started thanking her. And that's when people started to give her the credit that she deserved. You're not going to be thanked for doing what you're supposed to be doing while you're doing it. That's going to come later. My own pastor, Pastor Roman Gutierrez, he does a lot of things behind the scenes in the church. There's things he did in his youth that are paying off now. And he has a successful ministry. It's called Twice Dead. There's even a book about his life. Again, no one thanked him for any of that until he actually accomplished something. So when I say, why me? What can I do? I will probably not see the thanks or anything of that until maybe years later. Hopefully within my lifetime. Now, there was another man years ago that when people saw him, they wrote him off. There's even an article about him. And this man was Michael Keaton. When it was announced that Michael Keaton was going to play Batman in the live-action Batman movie, this article came out saying, "Boo-hoo, Batman. Bad news for Batman fans. Michael Keaton will reportedly play the Caped Crusader in Warner Bros. Upcoming big screen Batman." Apparently, any serious plans for a serious Batman movie have been scrapped. Back then, Michael Keaton was known as only doing comedies, but it is debatable that uh, he is one of the best Batmans. He's the one that I think of. And if he had listened to people saying, no, you can't do this, no, not him, if he hadn't put in the work, we would have two great Batman movies. And this is what I love to do. I love Toastmasters. I love serving. Any chance I get, I will do it. I will take on a role, even if I don't know what I'm doing. I will ask people because we have many members that do know what they're doing, and if someone doesn't know an answer to my question, they'll ask someone else. So we have vast resources in our clubs. Now, if you are there thinking, well, what can I do? There's plenty. If you're thinking of taking on a role, whether it's a club role, whether it's something like area director and beyond, jump in. The thanks won't be there, but later on, maybe. And if you love doing what you do, it doesn't matter if it's a thankless job because once you do something that you love, it's no longer a job. And the thanks don't matter. So that's my challenge to you. Take on a role, do something you're uncomfortable doing, and maybe one day someone will write a book about you. Thank you, Toastmasters.